Well, as usual, I'm a few days late on this one. Let's hope it doesn't become a habit. Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Never mind. Anyway, I want to talk about this little kerfuffle with Jeremy from The Quartering and Matt Walsh and the continuous scuffling with the Daily Wire in general. Now, let me advertise my bias here because it definitely won't show at all. No, not even in the title or the thumbnail or the video. I love Jeremy. He's great. Very calm, down to earth, very measured demeanor. I know a lot of people give him hell for that, and I suspect the reason being as the center gets more hollowed out and the distinction between the two sides become clearer by the day, if you're seen as leaning more towards one side of the aisle than the other, and you don't show this borderline soldier-esque kind of mentality, this instantaneous desire to nuke the opposition without question, you're somehow seen as cowardly, which I think is ridiculous, by the way. My only criticism of Jeremy, really, and it's not just him, it's every content creator that does this, the ones who tell you to subscribe in the first 10 seconds of the video, you haven't even done anything to earn my subscription yet. Put it at the end of the video like Salty does.
Alright guys, thank you so much for watching the video. Support channel. We kept up to date on these false flags. Hit that subscribe button and make way, because the salt must flow.
See, like that, that's subtle. But I did gain a massive amount of respect for Jeremy around the time Musk finally attained Twitter, because he, along with myself, naturally, were one of the handful of content creators that seemed to recognize that no one, not even Elon Musk, would be able to turn Twitter, one of the biggest social media platforms in the world, which was infested with the feds at the time, into this mythical free speech haven that doesn't even exist anywhere in reality in the space of 5 freaking days. That whole episode really showed you which content creators were a little on the delusional side or perpetually online, maybe need to unplug for a while, touch grass. Isn't that right, Tim? Anyway, though, Matt Walsh, let's see first what he said, shall we?
The right's weird obsession with disavowing video games, anime, and social media is why they will never appeal to most of Gen Z. The base is literally dying off, and most of the voices in the community are actively refusing recruits. Well, with all due respect to Jeremy from The Quartering, I think it's safe to say that I have recruited more people into conservatism than he ever has or ever will. I do sometimes, I have to admit, get a little bit tired of hearing lectures on effectiveness from people who are far less effective.
When content creators meet in real life. Never seems to go down well, does it? Okay, I have a lot to say on this, so let me get the nice out of the way before I go in for the blunt force trauma jugular over here. I will give Matt Walsh props for taking a strong public stance on the rainbow bollocks, and I'm sure being backed by the Daily Wire's money doesn't hurt at all now, does it? But that is where his usefulness ends, in my opinion. Even his position on that stuff is just the quiet part out loud. That fringe crap that these cultists believe is overwhelmingly rejected by the population at large, because people recognize it as plain insanity, and should the regular population come in contact with this delusion, most people would just do whatever they can to appease them and get them the hell away. Not because they agree with it at all, they're uncomfortable, and that is the God's honest truth. Now, as far as his claim that he has drawn more people into conservatism than Jeremy, get real, pal. There is so much wrong with this, I'm unsure even where to begin. Maybe with the fact that he is massively up his own ass. That movie that he made clearly inflated his already too large ego. When I first saw Matt Walsh on the Daily Wire, I thought to myself, oh, I recognize this type, and I'm going to despise you. And I do. I can't stand Matt Walsh, and I'll tell you why. He is the reincarnation of that 1980s satanic panic televangelist type that put so many people of my generation off anything right-wing. Hey, Matt Walsh, you ever play an RPG? No, of course not, because you scream boring from a frickin' mile off. If conservative was a class, Walsh is the kind of guy that would put all of his skill points into moralism. Hell, I don't even consider Matt Walsh a conservative, really, because he's not one, he's a moralist. You can easily picture him as the kind of faggot that would tell you not to listen to heavy metal. And seeing as I listen to rock, flamenco, orchestral, classical, and even Gregorian chanting once in a while, being the fine multicultural gentleman that I am, I also listen to heavy metal, so stop telling us what to listen to and piss off. This is exactly why I don't like him. He is an SJW with a different flavor. He is wired the exact same way as the leftist activist class. Anything he doesn't like must be banned because of moral superiority. Fundamentally, he is no different than those he criticizes. He just thinks his cause is more righteous. If you look at our current cultural plague, it's a bit like looking at a structure on fire. on a hill through a telescope. Yes, it does look daunting, but you're looking at it through this cropped view. The Matt Walsh types of the world represent this hugely overcorrecting pendulum swing that, dear God, must be avoided at all costs. His claim that he draws more people into conservatism than Jeremy is complete bunk. The Matt Walsh types, being up their own ass like a lot of conservatives are these days, do not understand branding at all, despite their enthusiastic denunciation of Bud Light's campaigning, which, frankly, let's be real, even the dead can see was sheer incompetence. Jeremy is the kind of person that can swim around more of the center. The Daily Wire types don't pull people into conservatism. No, they keep them there. And even then, it's going to keep you at a certain level, because it's a news organization. If you want higher brow intellectual conservatism, read pre-1950s literature. Again, they don't understand the concept of branding. No one watches Matt Walsh and thinks, ooh, he sounds fun. Because he doesn't. There's definitely a place for him, sure, but being the face of the movement, absolutely not. You know who's a good fit for that? Razor Fist. He's informative yet witty, principled but entertaining. You know, the things that Matt Walsh are not. You don't bring people into conservatism by being a preachy moralist that pisses people off. Again, he has no freaking idea how to appeal to regular people, he's clueless. This is something that needs to be said, especially this crap that Walsh peddles about degeneracy. You need some degeneracy to be there. Not because it's objectively good or bad, but because banning things does not make them go away, nor does it dissipate the desire, it causes sterility of being. To me, the whole point of being right-wing is to have order. The vices may be present, but you need to learn to abstain from them because doing so builds character and an iron sense of willpower. There's plenty of bad things that those blokes at the Daily Wire will still do, like smoking cigars or drinking, which can cause lung cancer and liver damage, but who cares because they're masculine activities. This Churchillian gangster type of imagery, that's all just a throwback gimmick. I just can't stand the hypocrisy. Which leads me neatly to the last thing I want to talk about that Matt Walsh likes to bash, anime and gaming. Now, the latter needs no defending from me because it's a battle that Walsh is never going to win. The industry is far too huge, and while the former I think is degenerate and cringe, I am no weeb after all, so I won't defend that. I will, however, vehemently defend what makes it popular. The simple fact that the Far East storytelling is far, far superior than anything that the West cranks out these days. It's not even close. I have to give props to Dr. Steve Turley, who said the same thing when he was asked about Walsh's position. In a polite way, of course, he says he disagrees. It's nonsense. The complexities of Asian narrative weaving destroys the West, and I happen to agree. I myself, I like the period pieces, probably because I'm a monarchist, and I like the politics of dynasties and empires. There's no cringe democracy, voting, or any of that kind of rubbish. It's straight power politics. It's good stuff. The thing is, there is a far bigger emphasis on things like honor and ethics and tradition in their stories than ours. Like, yes, there is degeneracy, but there's degeneracy in our shit. Oh, look, a pair of boobs. Okay, so what? Okay, they're nice to look at, I suppose, but that's not going to keep my attention for a 48-hour series. Where's the soul, the personality? It's not popular for that shit. It's popular because the storytelling element is far better. Simple as that. I do love the white supremacy narrative around all of this shit. Oh, white people hate diversity. Yes, we do. And that is why we watch shows from Asia, where there is no white representation, there's no white people, and they don't even speak English. Something tells me you haven't quite thought that one through. Something I do detest. This is not a political thing, mind you. This is a, I don't know, maybe a side effect of power. But our society has this irritating tendency to ban anything that's problematic for increasingly the most vacuous of reasons, regardless of how many people can engage in the activity or substance without it becoming this debilitating problem. You can say, oh, it becomes more justified if the so-called problem engulfs, say, a plurality, but you're still punishing people for the actions of the irresponsible, which doesn't sit well with me at all. So when Walsh comes along like a freaking reanimated corpse from a bygone era's moral posturing that no one is asking for, trying to target games and anime, of all the things that's currently plaguing our society, these are your targets? Really? Way to come off like a disconnected idiot, pal. Well done. I think V said this in a video as well. If you're going to try for the suicide level of stupid banning things that the overwhelming majority of even your own audience enjoys, what are you going to replace it with? Oh right, you have nothing. Realize then, you're a specialist. You have your niche. Should you veer outside of this, don't be surprised if the rest of the world tells you to go blow it out your ass. Let me in with this, because I saw Jeremy yesterday went off on the Daily Wire, commenting on someone saying Candace Owens is a savage. I mean, pausing to let the undertones of that joke slide, he said, "No, she isn't. She is TMZ level 70 IQ bullshit. She is a lib in conservative clothing. She realized being mid and a POC was worth a ton more to the conservatives than the libs. She is a clown." First off, based, well done. Secondly, there is a lot of people who feel this way. And is he wrong? No, he's right on the money. I even said this to him on Twitter and he liked the comment, so well done to him for interacting with his audience. Oh, but he wasn't done, saying Daily Wire still sucks and will be cone-gobbling Meatball Ron the next 2 years. Again, he's right on the money, because for some reason, these wannabe boomer neocons that inhabit the Daily Wire think that Ron DeSantis, despite being a largely unknown figure on the national level, unlike Trump, and trailing him by a massive margin, is somehow more electable. Based on what? The cherry-pick poll you losers bash out on Twitter in between high-fiving the donor class? Get real. You're delusional.